I'm going to be talking about evolutionary architecture, which sounds very boring, but in fact it's really important, and we're all part of it. So I hope you engage and discover what the following 5 projects have in common. I'm going to start where everybody always starts, with my mother. So that dot is my mother, and my mother told me that her best friend was very sad. Her best friend is the yellow dot. And she was very sad because her husband had lost his job. Bob's job has been to travel all around the world, throughout all the different capitals, selling beverages, so he knows everybody in every town. So I thought, well, that's a drag, this sort of stuff happens. But then I thought of my friend Martin, whose uncle is the biggest winemaker in the country, and I thought, if I ask my friend to ask his uncle if he would be interested in have somebody like Bob, connecting with him, maybe we could actually benefit the lives of all. So I put them in communication, and if all goes well, the uncle will sell more wine because he will use Bob's network. Bob will get a job. His wife will be happy. My mother will be happy because her friend is happy and her friend can stay close to her, and I will impress my mother. And of course, if all goes well, I will end up drinking a lot of wine too. So this first project is a 5-minute reality project. It took me 5 minutes to do the whole thing. I spent 2 emails and 2 phone calls to make this happen, or to try to make this happen. And this project really awakened me because, in fact, we don't know how to use the whole energy of our own personal networks. What would happen if we would stop for a while and think, what can we do rearranging our own personal network? So the conclusion is, I didn't earn any money, but I helped somebody live a better life. So conclusion number 2, life in the 21st century might be about connecting and being connected. This is an aerial picture of the region of Stockholm, and it's a very beautiful picture. It's a very beautiful region. It's defined by being an archipelago. Now, what's most interesting is that even though it is an archipelago, there's many places where there is no borders. There's no natural borders, but still all the suburbs are segregated. Why? I mean, there's some sort of sailor pattern in the mind of the urban planners, because this city has been planned in suburbs, and this is how it looks like. In white you have nature, so water and land, and in black you have urban. So in one suburb you have rich, in one suburb you have poor, in one suburb you have foreigners, in one suburb you have industry or universities, and it's extremely organized. But is this good? And we thought about connecting people, and we thought about, what happens when you have 2 segregated entities? What happens when you have 2 segregated projects? Well, we could build something in between and draw a connection. So we need to look at the system, or we need to look at a city as a growing body, and we need to feel ourselves as cells in this growing body. And Stockholm is alive. Stockholm is growing. So if we do nothing, if we keep working with this pattern, Stockholm will continue as a black and white cow, or as a dalmata, and we will continue having segregation. So instead of doing this, we thought about framing the future growth of the city onto urban bridges that will connect previously segregated suburbs, minimizing fear and lack of communication and paranoia, and maximizing communication flow, connectivity, brotherhood, sisterhood. And this is a strategy for 200 years, because these things cannot be planned. But what would happen if in 200 years we go through a series of phases, like this is phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5, which would enable Stockholm to turn from a segregated city into the first network city visible from outer space. I mean, New York is such a great city, and it has one central park. It's a fabulous city. Imagine how many central parks you would have by connecting Stockholm. Maybe it's just a bad idea, but we really believe in it. And of course, these connections don't have to be straight lines, you know. They can go around forests, around lakes, around rocks, and adapt. And of course, this needs to be made in participation with the communities, so that everybody is a co-author of this process, rather than having the architect as the big star. So imagine architecture being just a direction, and everybody else playing a role. After working as a formal architect in formal architecture offices, I had a need, a craving to do something informal, to step away from formality and rules and bureaucracies. So I went to my hometown, Rio, and I wanted to work with favelas. So from Stockholm, I sent one email to one NGO in the largest favela of Rio de Janeiro, called Rocinha, and I asked if I could come and help build a school. And 2 days later, I received an answer saying, yes, please come. We have the money, very little money, we have $12,000, but we were really searching for an architect to come and help build a school. So some of my friends say that the stars were aligned, and I was so lucky. Some say that what has to be must be, so this was my home for a few months, and this is where we were going to build a school. This place is called Rocinha. It means little farm, because it used to be a farm many, many years ago. And the first thing I did was to actually draw a map of this place, and I called this drawing Acupuncture Architecture. Because in acupuncture, you can actually drain the tension of a whole body through a single point. And by building a school almost in the center of this body, we're actually enabling people to meet in security, to meet in calm and peace, to learn. And there's 300,000 people living here, but only 3 schools. So this was the 4th school built. And these are the pictures of the construction process. Sometimes I'm showing these pictures to my friends, and people ask me, why are they not wearing boots? And it's because they are poor. They don't have money. They would be wearing boots. Actually, they would be using machines, but the whole school was built with ordinary tools. There were no machines because there was no money. We had $12,000 to do everything. So we couldn't even pay the volunteers that came to build it with us. We just had somebody cooking every day, and whoever came to help would have a free meal. Also, I learned many, many things from this very interesting process. One is that for every brick placed, there is a story told, and we all build it together. And another one is that it actually took a week to build a 4-meter wall. And when I'm drawing on my drawing board, it takes 1 second to draw a wall, you know. And in fact, it takes so many hours, so now I think 400 times before I actually draw a wall, because I know how much sweat it actually takes. And you know, it was also a beautiful process, because I wanted to draw and use everything I had learned in university, but people were looking at my bracelet, at my pen, at my hand, but not at the drawings. First, I thought it was because I was doing bad drawings, but then I realized that most people don't know how to read and write, so they don't communicate with pen and paper. So we had to design and build everything out of verbal explanation. So it was a revolution in me, and actually it worked. And what's so beautiful is that the school is working full-time. There's more than 60 people benefiting from it every single day. And this is what you can do with $12,000. They also built their own website, which enables teachers from all over the world to come to this place and volunteer. So it's working. After this experience, I met the president of the National Slum Dwellers Federation of India, who enjoyed very much the fact that I was working with people, not for people, not away from people, not remote controlling people, not designing in a leather chair in a fancy office with air conditioning, but there, listening to them. So he said, why don't you bring your team to India and keep working? So this was the site that he asked us to work with. It's called the Yeroda. And we thought it was beautiful because every house was different. Every street was different. You have this fractal and organic urban pattern. And we thought that this was much more interesting than this. And this is what happens when you think about social housing, you know. The best way is to take it all down and build new. Fortunately, I met somebody who lived in one of these houses. And one day he was very tired. He comes home from work, he parks the car, he gets inside, sits in his couch, turns on his television just to realize it was not his house. So we wanted to go beyond modernism. We wanted to go beyond this dream of giving a house for all. You know, we wanted to see what was next. I mean, this is very respectful, but can we go beyond? And in order to go beyond, we had to go with the people. So the local people taught us that in an urban village of India, not all houses are the same. This is in Pune, 400 kilometers away from Bombay. And as you can see, there's two houses that are very well built, probably by people who work in the construction business. And then further below, you have some houses that are not so well built. In India, you call the well-built homes permanent, pakas, and the not well-built temporary houses that are usually temporary for 40 years, kacha. So this is how a kacha house looks like. In fact, this is the picture that shows the entrance for 3 kacha houses. 1, 2, 3. The blue is a specific blue that keeps the mosquitoes away. The houses have no windows, have very bad ventilation, very bad lighting. And we thought, okay, let's prioritize, you know. Instead of taking it all down, let's look at the houses that actually needed urgent help. So this is how these houses look like. This woman has a sick husband underneath her bed. The images speak for themselves. There's not beds for everybody, and whoever has to sleep on the floor cannot use a mattress, because if you use a mattress, the rats come in the middle of the night and they make nests inside of the mattress. So you have to sleep like this. So we re-engaged in the process of acupuncture architecture, mapping the houses that really needed help. So we went into different pockets of the urban village. Let's not call them slums, because slums is a top-down word. They're urban villages. And we basically organized this research onto single kacha houses, doubles, triples, quadruples, and even larger clusters. I will explain that in a second. And as you can see, all the different pockets of this village are the same, but they're all different. And we designed 3 prototypes together with the local communities. House A, on your left, is a typical favela house with 2 floors, but it is actually structured for 3 floors so that the family can build 1 extra floor whenever it's time without the risk of structural hazard. House B, it's the one in the middle, is House A on 4 stilts, and it's for people that have a shop on the ground floor. We tried to convince the government to invest on a shop. The government said, never in our lives. So instead, we give this void, and people can buy a roller shutting door and transform this empty space into a shop, or they can use it to park a rickshaw, or to have goats, or to wash clothes, or whatever. And House C stands between House A and House B, has a void in the middle that can be used as a workshop, as a veranda, or it can also be closed to become a room. This is a 4-column technique because of the irregularity of the plan. Most of the footprints are actually irregular trapezoids. They are not square, so by using 4 columns, we can adapt to 90% of the existing footprints. If the houses are sitting next to each other, because it's a non-seismic area, we don't need 4 columns for each house. 2 houses can have 6 columns, and so on and so on and so on. So the money saved will be transparently calculated by the community and used for public amenities. So from left to right, we have House C, House A, House C, House B, House C, and House A again. So this is what could happen if we were going to develop further 1 block. Of course, we were working with a group of amazing women. They're called Mahila Milan. Mahila Milan means Women United. And they are the ones who are contributing massively to the positive evolution of these places, because men are usually at work doing some sort of slave job, or they are home drunk. And women are actually focusing on how they can make the community a better place, because they want their children to have a better place to live in the future. So this is Choba from Mahila Milan explaining from one family to the other the good things about House A and House B and House C, and you choose the house that is most appropriate for you, and we can move forward in community workshops. And what's so beautiful about this type of work is that people actually come together and say, what's going to happen with my neighborhood? No, I want to have a say on it. I think it should be different. So every day that passes, the project evolves and gains different shapes because we listen to different people and we do our best to work within the budget to please as many people as possible. So this image shows this puzzle that, as you can see, not every house needs to be torn down. We work with a puzzle of new houses inside a fabric of old existing ones that are already in good condition. So this is a new way of thinking about the problem of slums, which the UN says it's now 1/3 of the world's urban population is living in slums. I think they are lying. I think it's at least half. Just look at the population size. So this is the dream or the vision, a new archipelago of well-built homes inside of a sea of relatively well-built houses. And this is how we imagine the project to look like after it's finished. Right now it's under construction, so the families will help building. And of course, I want my house green, you want your house blue, you want your house yellow. I choose my own floor tiles, you choose your own floor tiles. If you're introverted, you choose small windows. If you're extroverted, you want big windows. So there's a customization that will lead to every house being different. And thus, keeping the vernacular character of this organic urban fabric intact. The last project is a house for a couple who met in Tokyo. She is from Stockholm, and he is from Chicago. And this house had to somehow connect the landscapes of their romance throughout the years. So we looked into Japanese architecture and their icons, and we focused on the Sensoji Temple in Tokyo, defined by this very orderly structure, lifted platform, and this gigantic roof. And we looked into Chicago's famous Robbie House from 1909 by Frank Lloyd Wright, and it has all these overhanging roofs. And what's so beautiful about this Chicago architecture icon is that it's based on Japanese architecture, because Frank Lloyd Wright was ordering books and journals from Japan 100 years ago because he wanted to be informed, so he was already a very global architect. And of course, we looked into Swedish architecture, which I think is absolutely gorgeous because it's wood, it's a respect for wood, it's a snickars glädje. And we came up with this house that has a lifted platform, an orderly structure, an interesting roof, and we actually answered the demands from the family that wanted to have a space to sit outside even if it was raining. So there's a Swedish, Japanese, Chicago touch to it. And this is the plan, so it's very, very open. There's a fireplace in the middle, a very thick wall with toilet and shower, divide private and public. And we have this extra long glass facade, which on the right side looks at this beautiful view. So we do believe in the power of architecture and urban planning and urban design, or intention, the power of intention, to create a better world. And I would like to close by speaking the words of Osho, because we were living in Pune, and say that we should not use this planet as a train station. We should actually focus on making this a better place for the next people to come. This is not just a waiting zone until our train comes. This is a place of its own. It needs to be loved and cultivated. So thank you very much.